Thank you, Anna, and thank you so much for putting this together, and thank you to all the organizers. So let's see how everything will work out today. So there's been some hiccups, as seen for some other sessions because of some issues with the tenants from Microsoft, I think everybody now is checking everything, how it goes with such an amazing big conference as we have. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and to present to you a little bit tips and tricks on how to get started with document automation. With using Word as a template. Of course, we use Power Automate or Flow as it was called before, and I also have a small Power App. I'm not a UI guy, so I will say sorry already that the UI of my app doesn't look the best, but that's not the main thing here. The main thing actually just to show you how you can build all these things together with the different building blocks and to give you some ideas how you can use this in your own environment. So let's start. And of course, I hope to see some people next year in Las Vegas again when we finally can start to travel. I have been traveling a lot like the last few years, and it's kind of weird not to travel anything and be stuck at home. But that makes it possible to do this kind of events, which is amazing. So thank you to the organizers, and a big thank you to all the sponsors. So feel free to reach out to them, check their websites, and some of them even have like a speaker or sponsor room, I think. So please feel free to reach out to them there. Yeah, so who is I? So I'm Knut, I'm from Norway. So here it's like not too late right now. I think it's like 1 p.m. I work for Valo, one of the sponsors, and also have my own company called DocsNode, which is a template solution for Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. And that's exactly why I kind of get into this session, because there's so much amazing stuff just out of the box from Microsoft, and why not start to use that at least? And I've been luckily enough an MVP for 5 years now, and delivering content session like this all around the world. And now, of course, everybody's changing to virtual events. So that means from home on a Wi-Fi that you share with all of your family and kids and everybody trying to stream things. So yeah, it's amazing to be here, and I really hope that you will ask some questions, and then we'll get to those questions afterwards if there's something you are wondering about when it comes to this topic. I love swag, and we have a raffle as well. So make sure that you join the raffle. If you don't compete, you will not win anything. So make sure that you at least try, and hopefully you will be one of the lucky winners for the raffle that we have. And I always say thank you to the organizers, because they're actually donating like 10% of every money they got in from the sponsors to all of these community charities, these things. So if you have something to give away yourself, feel free to also do that. This is really great causes, and especially with this COVID that everybody's struggling with now, everybody can need a helping hand. So, but yeah, what is the agenda today? Agenda is demo. That's kind of my plan. I didn't plan to have any slides, more or less. So I really hope that the demo gods are a little bit more kind to me than they did on my previous session, where a lot of things did not work as expected. But you know, the second time around, hopefully it's better. So let's see how it goes. But the idea is actually just to get you guys to know what the Word connector for Power Automate is all about, for how to use it, how we can create a template inside of Word, what are the steps you need to do that, and also, of course, in the end, we're going to connect it with a Power App, so we can really benefit of the templates that we are creating. I'm going to start with something really simple. So, of course, the goal today is that you will actually know everything you need to know so you can start this yourself. First of all, you need to get the MasterCard or the Visa card of your boss, because this is a business business premium thing from Power Automate. So you need like a Flow P1 license to use it. So it's going to cost a little bit, but considering all of the other automation tool out there, this is actually a really good deal. So you shouldn't be worried with trying it out. And of course, with everything in Power Automate, you start with a free trial, and then you're hooked and you can never go back afterwards. So that's kind of my point today, to get everybody hooked on the Word connector for Power Automate. So let's see how that goes. I told you we will do demos. So the first demo is super easy. It's all about creating a small letter, or this is just to get you guys to understand how the template is working inside of Word, and also to make everybody understand how easy it is to connect this inside of Power Automate. So it's just to make it simple. Afterwards, I'm going to showcase a little bit bigger example where it's actually a contract, more or less, that is inside there. And also we have then the Power App with all of these different clients and contracts together. So yeah, let's get started. And I really hope that Wi-Fi and everything will still continue to work. So let's see how it goes. So yeah, first of all, we need to open Word. And here inside of Word, we can actually go and just start a new one just for the example right now. So here you can start with a blank Word document, or if you want something more fancy, we can go and start with one of the templates of Microsoft. So for instance, we can click here, more templates. We can really just take like one of them. It doesn't matter which of them, but if you want, you can of course search for someone. But let's try the blue curve letterhead, and we can just click create. So here you see that there's a lot of information already. There are some fields here coming in from that. It kind of gives you the idea that you should put in some information from maybe a SharePoint list or a follow or these kind of things. But what you need to do to be actually working with this as a template that we can use in Power Automate, we need to enable the developer mode, developer tab. You see on my screen on the top here, I have the developer tab, so I already have it. But if you don't have it, you just need to right click over here, not actually right click, let's try over here, it should be right click just between some of the tabs that you already have. And then you can go and do customize the ribbon. So that's the one way you can go in, super easy. You will see under the customize ribbon on the right side, you will see that here you have the developer. So this in your environment is probably like this. So it means that it's not selected. So we just need to select it and click OK. And by this, we are going to get the developer tab up here. The next thing we need to do is that, of course, we need to create all these fields that we can read from Power Automate, from the flow. So with this, we just will click design mode, and here you see that we now are seeing all of these kind of fields, and this field will be what we will get inside of Power Automate. So all of these fields, we can really go in and we can enable them inside of Power Automate. So for instance, here we have the company name, street address, phone, email, websites, etc. Right now for my test, I don't want to have so many fields, so I just will take a lot of them away. And here we can go in and add what we have. We can also go in here and put in a body, just like this. Here we have our recipient name, and we have our street address. So we can also go in, of course, click the properties. Just give me 2 seconds, like this, and properties, because we need to make sure that this is actually a field that we can read from inside of our inside of Power Automate. So I'll actually just take it away, all of these things, and we'll just build it ourselves like this. So we just have the template. This makes it a lot easier. So we can just write there, Mr. X, and then I'll just replace the X with our text control. And currently Power Automate is only supporting the plain text control, so we can't use like all of the other cool ones, but hopefully later this word connector will actually work with more of them. So I'll just click here, and then you see that we get this coming in here. So, and then we can just write again there, Mr. X, and we can just write the body. So I'll just write body like this. I will click it again, and we will insert a control for the body as well. And then we can just click best regards. And here, of course, we want to write like the name of the person. Right now, I just write my name, but of course, this should be replaced with another person's name later. So here we'll just write with signer, for instance. So now it means that we have 1, 2, 3 fields here that we can really populate from inside of Power Automate. The next thing, of course, we need to do is to save this. So now the question is like, where shall we save the template? And here in my example, I'm going to just go and save it, and I'm going to save it to my my folder under my OneDrive. So you see here, I created a folder called templates, where I will put this one. So here I will just go to write letter 2, because you see I have a letter already. So let's just click save. So now I have uploaded my template into a OneDrive folder that I have. Here we could have used the SharePoint library as well, but typically a lot of the templates are personal as well. So that's why right now, at least, I put it in my my folder inside of my OneDrive. So if I go here, I also have my folder. I can go into my templates, and you will see that it's also here. So this is my OneDrive that is synchronized locally to my computer. But since I'm now in another tenant, I will just upload it. So here you see I have exactly the same files. So I will just upload this one here to my dev tenant. So I'm not making confusion in my work tenant. So here we go. I have my letter 2 over here. So now kind of I've finished with the template side of things. And this is really not that hard. It's pretty easy to create these templates. And I will show you later on the little bit more complicated one that I have with the independent contractor agreement. So you can really build big templates over here. But let's now go and move into Power Automate, and we will look how this looks from within there. Because in my scenario, I'm going to create now my my Power Automate, my flow for this letter. And typically, the first step is to create the template. The second step in how I have built this logic right now is to make the Power Automate. And the third step will be to create the Power App where I can fill everything. Or we could have used also the flow button command to do the same. So that could also work. So it's different ways to actually fill in this this letter with the content that I want to merge within my template to populate my document. So let's go to flow, Microsoft.com. And let's pray that this will work. Currently, it looks okay. I'm actually calling down to Australia because this tenant is in Australia. So that's kind of funny being in Norway and calling down to Australia. But if it wasn't for the COVID, I will sit in Australia right now. So that's why the tenant was there. But let's go and just create a new flow. And I want an instant flow. So I want it to be triggered by something. So I will create an instant one. And here you can see that we can choose different ways of triggering it. So it could be from SharePoint, it could be from PowerApps, or it can be a manually flow with a flow button. Since I already have one thought that I want to use PowerApps here, of course, I should use PowerApps for this. So that's why I will click create, and I will create this inside of PowerApps. With the PowerApps action. So right now I have my PowerApp over here. And now the next thing I will need to do is to, of course, go and populate my document. So that's why I will now search for Populate. And then you see that we get the word online business here. And we see, yeah, it's a premium service. So it's going to cost us some money to use this one. So that's also something that we need to always remember. If it's premium behind, it's not for free. It's going to cost us a little bit. But if we want to use the cool features of Power Automate, they're always costing extra money. This is just how it is. So let's select this one. And this is super simple because right now it just asks me for my location. That could be some Microsoft Teams site, it could be a SharePoint site, or it could be OneDrive. In my case, it's OneDrive. So I select my OneDrive and I select again OneDrive because apparently the document library is called in Power Automate OneDrive, even if it's in OneDrive. So that's just how it is. Now the next thing is I need to just select my template, and that's why it's really important to have a normal name here so it's easy to find. So I'm going here and then I'm picking my letter 2, as you can see here. And now it will populate X, body, and signer. So that's why I now just choose X for special, so that you will see that it's pretty important actually to name these things inside of your Word template, because they're going to take from the Word template whatever we use names in here. So within the brackets, as you see here, this name is how it's going to be named inside of your Power Automate actions for the same. So that's why it's really important to name these things with understandable name, so you have no issue with finding or putting the right connectors afterwards. So, but you see, we have the X, the body, and the signer. So, of course, here we need to replace this with some content. And here I can just click Ask in PowerApps, because the logic is really easy here. And you will see now that here it is going, and you will see if I just zoom in a little bit, it will be, actually didn't help much, but it's written trigger body populate Microsoft Word template _X, which is the name of that property inside of our inside of Word. And you see also now it's listed here as a field that I already used. So if we needed to use the same field multiple places, I can just click it in here and we will fill in the same. But right now we don't want to use the body anymore, or the X, I mean. So now we need actually to go in again and write ask. And ask in PowerApps, because if not, it's going to use the same question all the time, like only X, and all of my my properties inside of Word will be whatever I put in the X field inside of PowerApps. So now I'll just do like this, and we need again, and you see now is body, so it got the body name, and here we just need again to ask in PowerApps, and we have now also the signer. So now we are starting to be ready with our template over here. But currently we only have filled the template with information from PowerApps, and we need also to generate that same document. So let's go and do that with adding a new step. And typically here you want to do is to create a file. And that, of course, you can do in SharePoint, or you can do it in OneDrive, depending if it's a personal file or something that should be shared with some other people in your company. So for my case now, I will just do SharePoint. So I'm choosing the create file action from SharePoint. Again, we need just to select the site where we want to put this, and I will put it in my root site collection. We need to select the library, and here I will just use shared documents. And we need to give it a name. And here is really important that we need to give it a name that, first of all, is unique. Another thing, we need to put in the document type, because right now the create file doesn't do that for us. So that's why I will just go in here, and for this case, I will just put the signer as the name for this example. Actually, we can use X. And then we just put in here .x. It doesn't support and this is also something I forgot to mention, but when we're creating the Word template itself, we can't use the .x, which is kind of the template of Word. We have to use the .docx, because the Populate Microsoft Word template doesn't recognize the .x Word file type as of now, but hopefully that will be fixed in the future as well. So let's see how it goes. But now I put in my name here. Secondly, we just need to say what is the file content here, and this is super easy because it's the Word document. So again, the dynamic content is giving us the information we need and everything we need to go in here and put in the content. And of course, we need to give it this useful name. So letter, we can put in letter 2, document automation, like this. And then we will click save. And here we go. And luckily I didn't get no errors, so I'm good to go. So that means that right now I have my Power Automate, my flow, that will go in and do all of this connection for us. So that is great. So yeah, so let's see how this goes. Next step, of course, will be to go to PowerApp. Here I have already created a similar one, but let's see if the demo gods will still play on our side. They worked well for now. So let's try to also go in and create this one. So let's see. So here I'm just going to do a blank canvas app, and I'm going to use here we can use the phone layout or the tablet layout. It doesn't really matter. For this case, I'll just use the phone layout because it's just a really easy small form that I need to create. So here let's see, I will just zoom in a little bit so it will be more easy to see for you guys. So here we can go in and, for instance, put in different background colors, and we can really make we can make everything beautiful and these kind of things. I'm not a UI person, so I'm never managing to make the beautiful apps like some of the really great people that is doing all of these amazing Power Apps. But here is all about just getting sure that you know how you can create and these things yourself. So for us, we just need to create a few things. And as you remember, in our Word template, we had just a few fields that we wanted to put in. We had the X, the body, and the signer. So we need to replicate those here over in Power Apps. So that means I will just create a label. And here I will just call it X, just to keep the same X, and we'll call it label X like this. And let's go, and here we have our label. So here we can just put name like this. And then we need, of course, also a text input. So I will do my text input, and this is like text X. We'll make it easier for us later to keep these things like that. And this one, of course, we're going to put next to the name. So, and we can put default can be blank, or we can do default something. So just like this. We can also group them if you want by clicking both of them. We can group, or we can reorder, like these kind of things. But right now we are good to go with the name. Then we need to actually copy this a couple of times, because we need also to add the two other properties that we needed to have. So I just copy paste them, just quick and easy, and we can go in and change the names on the layer. So from my Word document, we had body and signer. So let's keep the same name because that makes it easier for us. So I will call it here label signer, and I will do text signer and remove the X, of course. And next thing we want to do is, of course, here to do label body, and we want to do also text body, just like that. So now I have all of them, and I need just to go in here and change. So this was signer, and here we had body. So now I have my three properties, and of course body in this case, now it's just a single line of text, but this one could actually have been a multi-line of text. So here we could really have gone in, and I will actually change the body. It would be better to have the body as a rich text editor, because we have the support for that right now in Power Apps. So that will make it really much better when it comes to putting in a lot of content, and we can convert that one later on, so it should look pretty okay inside of our Power App. So let's look at that. See how we'll do that. So yeah, so right now we are having the name, signer, and body over here. The last thing that we need to do for my case right now, because I'm not planning to save this to a SharePoint list or anything like that, is I'll just generate the document and store the document, and that's it. We need the button. So that's why we're putting in our button over here, and let's just call the button for magic, because this is kind of magic what is happening in the background now anyways. The next thing we need to do is just to connect this button with our flow. So that means that we need to go to action, and we need to select Power Automate. And here we will see that we will see all of the different Power Automate actions that we have in our environments. And that's why it's again important to give them useful names, because if not, you can choose the wrong one. And that's why I called my the second one the letter 2. So I knew that it's not confusing with the previous one that I created. So that's now I will just click it, and now it's getting added. And the last thing that we need to do here is that we need to go in and map the properties from PowerApps to the properties in the Power Automate the flow. So now we see that up here we have the run, and the run has a populate Microsoft Word template _x. And then we have a populate Microsoft Word template body and populate Microsoft Word template signer. And that's why as well I told you, let's use useful names, because then it will be a lot easier for us to send in the right properties into the letter over here. So the only thing I need to do now is to go in and put in our, let's actually rename the rich text as well into text body. Makes it easier, just as I mentioned. So here we just need now to go in, and first of all, it asks for the X. So that means we just need to take text X dot text, and that will be the value that is in the text box. Next thing we need to do is to go in and take the text dot body, like this. And again, you see here we have the HTML text that we also have. Yeah, that's HTML text is the only thing we actually have here. So we just need to take the HTML text. We will convert that one later. And then the last one is, of course, then text signer. And again, we'll put in the text. And that's it. So now we have connected the Power Automate the flow that we had with the PowerApps, where we can fill in all of these different content for the document that we want to populate. This could, as I mentioned, have been done as well with a flow button. If you are using the flow buttons, you could have done that. Another thing is, of course, we could have put some kind of more logic behind. So for instance, maybe we wanted to have a SharePoint list where we have all of these things stored, and then we want to populate the content. We could have done that as well. And if you have time, I will show you how we can do that. If not, I have a couple of links that will bring the same magic and show the same things. So this means that we can go back here and we can click save. So letter to generator, for instance, like this. We can put in all of the nice buttons or whatever, and we just need to save this. So that is it. We have our letter to generator. Right now, I'm just going to click play here because we could have also, of course, run the app in the Power App, also in the local Power App for my Windows 10 device. But let's just click run now that is in the demo mode. And we can put in here, let's just put in my name. Or actually not, I will not send it to me. I will send dear Joel Oleson and my Knut Relbe-Moe. And then we're going to go right here. What an amazing event you organized, and thanks to Adnan for your help and support on hosting, like this. So, and then we just need to put in the magic button, and hopefully if the demo gods are with us, we are going to get a document created now inside of here. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. And we have one with Joel Oleson. It's already there. It's magic happened. And let's go in and look at it and see how it will look like. So we see there, Mr. Joel Oleson, what an amazing event you organized, and thanks to Adnan. But you see here we have the formatting, and I said to you guys that yes, we need to clean up that HTML, and that's what we're going to do next. But you see, it's super easy. That didn't take us a lot of time. The Power app itself doesn't look that pretty, but just the fact that we can do this document automation with the word connector for PowerApps and for Power Automate is amazing. And this has all a lot of really cool user scenarios where we can go in and create a lot of more cool things here. So now I'm just gonna go in and let's delete this one because we're gonna run it again. So we'll get everything, the formatting and everything perfectly. So let's go back to our flow and see how this one will look like. So what we did here, as you guys could see, is that we just took in our Populate, we just took the text directly from PowerApps. So for us to clean up this, we need to put a couple of steps in between. So let's go and do that and add a couple of actions here. First of all, I'm just going to make a variable to store the text that we have. So I'm going to do the initialize the variable. So let's just call this one for body, obviously, because that's what we're going to put in here. So I'm going to call it a string. And here we're going to put the body from our Power Automate. So Populate Microsoft Word template body we're going to put in here. The next thing we need to do is we need to run something that is in preview, but sometimes preview works magically enough, and we need to test these things. So we need to do HTML to text. Let's see. Where did it run away? Yeah, HTML to text, content conversion. So here we can actually take the HTML and it will convert it to a text for us. So let's put that one in. And here again, with everything else, it's always good also to rename this one. So initialize body like this, and we'll go in here. This is always best practice, HTML text for body, just like that. And then we're going to go in here and we're just going to take the body string that we have. And then we just need to go in here and change and fix our body that we get into the Populate step. So here we had the initialize body step, we had the HTML to text step where we put in the variable that we had up here. And now we just need to replace this one with the plain text content that we have here. And here again, you see that I did not rename this one. So that makes it a little bit difficult if you have more. So here we need to have HTML text for body. First time I typed it, it didn't work because I didn't put in the required field. So that's why first you need to put in whatever you need here, and then you can rename it. But if you go down to body now, you will see that soon you have here HTML to text for body. So that means that it will be easier later on if you have multiple ones of them and not such a small, easy case scenario that we have here. So let's click save and hope for the best. Now, of course, we have a couple of options. We can go and let's just double click save, never know if it works or not. So now we can go in and rerun the previous one, or we can just go back to our Power App and we can do it again. So we will just take run 2. What an amazing event, and click magic button again. And hopefully one more time, we will get demo gods to work with us, and we'll get Joel Olsen over here again. Let's see, maybe there's something wrong with my solution now. It can be. Sometimes it takes a few seconds, but we can always go back here and check if it ran or not. Yeah, and you see it got failed. So I have something going on. And this is what I love about Flow, that, yeah, sometimes you see that we getting all these kind of issues. So unable to process template language expression, which is kind of a little bit weird. It should have worked, but let's see. It has some issues, can be evaluated. Shared conversation does not exist. Okay, so it might be that it was not ready to provision up everything for me. But good enough, I have one that works. So I put one up earlier today. So let's just jump over to the one that I built a little bit earlier, because you need to cheat always when you do demos. So here I have a ready to go, which I used earlier today. So this is a little bit bigger, and this one is using another template that I have inside of Word. So for instance, here I have a huge template. I just download some kind of template from the internet, but here you see that we have a lot of things that we want to do in. So if you're wondering about what are the different fields that we want to merge, we always should click design, because with the design you will easily see what fields are there. So let me just zoom in a little bit. So here you see that we have contract date, we have the client address, etc., etc. And that's why I started with a lot easier scenario than this big one, because now there will be so many things we need to map if we should use the same approach. But you see we have skills, we have work to be done, and we have services, and then we have compensation. So there's a lot of this text that we are mapping from our Power App. So if I will switch now over to my browser, we have over here a Power App called Contractors. So in this case, I can just run it and we can run through it afterwards. So for instance, here I have my Microsoft and I have my NASA. So I can just click generate. And here you see that we have all the same kind of logic. There's just so much more fields that we have here. So in this case, it will be VM365 and SharePoint, and with a big P, of course, so no one will bash me about that afterwards. SharePoint lane, compensation should be 10,000 USD. Here we can go in and put skills, and here we can, of course, go in and do like this. So SharePoint, PowerApps, just like this. We can put services and all these kind of things. Here is my text, and here is my text. I will not do the rest because you understand the logic. And we can just click generate. And let's see if the demo goes works with us right now. Come on, come on. Usually it should gray out. So let's see, might be something. But we can always go over here and see what ended up. Nothing as of now, but that's okay. We can also go in here because in this one, I have the SharePoint in the background. So this one will, of course, update my SharePoint list first, and there seems to be something with the connector because it didn't want to update these things. So, but we can go and look at the ones that I run before. So for instance, here you see that I have one where we have the skills SharePoint and Microsoft Teams, also with the list items, just as the same one I had right now, and with the 20,000 USDs. So here we can then, of course, go and look at our flow and how that one worked. So if I go to edit my flows, I have it over here. So here you see that this is a much bigger flow than the ones we had before. So here we have skills, and I'm having the HTML text to service over here. So it's going also from the Power App. We have over here for the variable for services. And then we're doing the same thing here where we are converting it from HTML to text. So we have the skills coming in here, and we do then afterwards the populating thing over here. So you see that here I also do one thing because I'm also going in and replacing the body. And I will actually copy this one into Notepad so you will see it. So here I'm replacing the body HTML to text skills. So I'm replacing the kind of the star that is there to make it different lines and into a new line, because then it will be a new line inside of my Word document. And here we are creating a file, and we are putting it here into also the .x. And again, in the same place as we have here. So let's go in and look at this one, see if this is this one actually is the correct one with number 1. And here you see that we have contractor, possessed, SharePoint, and Microsoft. So you see that it really went in and replaced the HTML with with text, and the same over here. We didn't get the P and those things that would have been here before. So if we will have gone in and looked at how this one looked like when it was running, we can go and look at the last runs. You see it's succeeded 11 hours ago. And I can go in here and I can check. So for instance, here this was the text that was here coming in from the Power App. So you see we have all this HTML that is here. We can also go and look at the other one. And here again, we have the HTML coming in with installation. And this one was for new line, to just create a new line that we can replace to make the HTML for the text look pretty. So for my app here, it's really easy. Again, I haven't done anything really big, really much. I didn't brand it extensively, but it's actually just coming in here with, let's try to click and generate again, just to see if it will work now. But here I only did going in and have 2 windows, and I put like a start of a small navigation menu over here. So you see here there's coming in with an error, and that is probably because there has been a small change in my flow. So I need to go in here and make some modification. But here you see that this is much bigger. So that's why I really didn't want to go all in and show you everything from this big template, because here you need to map everything as well, just as with the other one. But you see, it's the same kind of logic as we had with the previous one. So that I had. So it's really similar to the same. And of course here, yeah, see what is an issue, because they didn't save what I had here before. So I'm not sure if I have it still in my memory. No, I don't have. So but I can fix that and I can share it later. So that shouldn't be an issue, because typically here, first of all, you need to do the submit form, and then put in form 1 to update the SharePoint. And then afterwards is, of course, to go in and run the Power App to make sure that the Power App is also created and these kind of things. But I will update this one. And I can also put it in my GitHub, so you can take a look at it if you want to do that. But going back to the simple one we had, maybe this one will actually work now. So let's just copy the big text and just unclick it, and we will just run it one more time. So let's try. Click magic and see if we get one for Joel Olsen over here again. No, so we still didn't get that HTML service provision up. So there have been some issues with this today for some reasons. I don't know why, but it has been some issues with the PowerApps and Power Automate to run a little bit slow. And I'm calling Australia, so that might be the reason. But trust me, those steps that we have put in here, those are exactly what is required. There's nothing more required than this. We just need to get this one up and running. Let's just, for the fun of it, try to remove this one. See how that works. And we will put it in here instead with the body without the string, just to see if that might make it work. So let's do a flow check. And let's click save again. And we have like a couple of more minutes, and then we are going to continue with the slides. So let's try it one more last time just to see if it will work. And let's go back to our letter 2 generator, and we will click the magic button again. And we will go back to our flow and see if we had a successful hit. No, we still had the same issue. So for some reason, it doesn't want to convert our HTML to body. What we can do, we have a couple of more minutes, so let's just test for fun to remove this one. And let's do delete. Actually, let's do save, and I will exit it. I'll go home. And we'll go to my flows again. And I'll just try to go in one more time to see if there was something that was not started properly. So let's go back in. And let's try to delete this one. And we'll just add it one more time. So HTML, we have a couple of seconds for this. So text preview. But as you saw, it's a preview feature, so that might be the reason. We're going to go in here, and then we need to put in the body here again. And let's try and click save. So this is going to be the last attempt, but as you saw from the one I showed you that I put up in the evening yesterday, it really works. So the main thing for you guys is to know which of the building blocks you need yourself to replicate this afterwards. So let's go and give it a last go and see how this will go. We're going to go to our letter generator, and let's see if Joel will be lucky to get another one. If not, he should be happy with getting the first letter. So let's see. Yeah, we have the same issue. So sorry, Joel, you have to stick with the first letter you got. So say we will fix it. So we will send it to you later. But yeah, it's for some reason it will want to fail for us right now, and it's the same error. There's nothing wrong with my code. So there's something in the backend here that is not starting to work. So. So yeah, let's look at that later. I will do some checkup after the session, and if I figure it out, I will also share it on the social media. So let's look at that. Okay, so let's go back to the slides and start to round this up as well. And as mentioned, I will share these things with you guys afterwards, so you'll get the slides and also the Power Apps and the flow for this. So some community resources, because there's a lot of information out there. We had this connected for like around a year now when it comes to generating the word from the template files. So here you see that we are having a lot of really good content. So a good friend of mine, Hugo Bernier, he had created a blog where he shows this. There's a couple of really good YouTube videos that show some of the same things that I just showed you. So feel free to check those out as well. Besides this, I don't know, Adnan, do we have some questions?
We have 2 questions on the, I already published those.
So let me open up here so I can see those as well. Oh, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so which SharePoint field tabs, which text choice calculated work fine. So the issue is not from the SharePoint side, because we can do a lot of things inside of Power Apps and inside of Flow to kind of convert them. So for instance, for a contract, you want to have the date inside of SharePoint, and you can use the date field. The only thing is that you need to convert that date into a text before you put it into the Power Automate, because the Word template itself, it only support the text, like the single line of text. So if I will go over here right now into my letter, you see that under my design mode over here, we can only put in the one single line that we had. So that's kind of the only sad part, that we currently don't have repeating tables. So and these kind of things. So we see over here we have we had the rich text content control. It would be much better if we can map the rich text of Power Apps and the rich text of Word, and that's it, without doing all this conversion that right now didn't work. It would be great to have tables and table support, so we can really use it when we should send out offers to customers and these kind of things. But some of these things are in the backlog, so hopefully we will get some of these things very soon. But here again, just use the user voice and vote things up from what we have. So, and yeah, the document you just created was not the template you built in on originally. Does that mean any template doesn't carry through for the new document created with the Power Automate app? Not exactly sure if I understood that question, but we can have multiple templates. So for instance, the one thing we need to do is we need to connect either the Power Automate with the flow button or a Power App, or we can also use a SharePoint list. And whenever someone is adding something into the SharePoint list, that will trigger also the conversion of the template into a ready-to-go file. So we can use multiple templates, but we need just to connect the template with some kind of action to kind of grab the correct template and then to populate all of these things. And that's where we come in and using this flow and the flow connector and all these things that we have here. So in my particular case right now, I started with PowerApps, but we could have started with someone adding something into a SharePoint list. Let's say that you wanted to use this for creating contracts or something like that. So whenever someone then created a new item in the list, we can populate a Word template based on all the fields from that list. So we can really have multiple templates, and the template of course carry all the way through to the created. I think the only reason you asked was that I showed a different template because we had the failure when it comes to this step over here. So that's why I went back and I showed you the previous one that I have here, like I showed you this one that I had run before, just to showcase that we can get the HTML looking nice and clean inside of the Word template. So yeah, the template you use, it's kept all the way through, and the Power Automate makes sure of that. So yeah, any other questions? If not, I think we are just on the peak of the time. So
I think
looks
one more question.
Yeah.
I just received one more question. I just published it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, it's the same. So yeah, that's the same. So yeah, so I had my template over here in Word. So the blue, this one, we had the body, signer, and so on. This one we had created over inside of our communication site here. So if I will go into my recycle bin, we should have that library settings. Let's go to site information, and we can find the recycle bin because I had the perfect first version up and running. So we can just restore that one, and you can see that yes, it did work. So we have Mr. Jolson over here. This one was the one that worked before I tried to convert my HTML into nice looking text. So here you will see that we have the same template working all the way through. The only thing is we don't see this one is because this is inside of the I will just download it. So download a copy because this is inside of the web browser, and the web browser doesn't support a lot of the styling that we have in the template. So that's why I just do it like this. So here you see everything is there because this is a header item, and the header doesn't work inside of the Word online client. It works only in the desktop client. So that's why we needed to download it, so you can see that yes, the blue template is covered all the way through. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, one more question which just came in regarding the updates. If that could be possible through on existing document from lists.
To an existing document, yes, that should also be possible. I haven't tried to do that myself, but of course it will. The issue here is that you need to have the template. So then we need to use the existing document as the template. But if you use that, then of course we can go in and override some of the items inside of that existing document. So it should work. It just, in my particular case, I went in and I started from my OneDrive file. So in sense that you want to replace something in a document library that you already have, you really just need to go in here and change from here. Here I have the location. This is my OneDrive for business. Here you then just need to change to that library where you have this document stored. So for instance, again, if you should use the contract example, you could have a site where you have a SharePoint list, which is called contracts, and then you can have a document library where you have the Populate contracts. And then let's assume that you have generated a contract and you want to change it. That also works. Or you can really go in and just grab one of these documents that you have. But first of all, you need to then make sure that you have, as we have here, you can see this is the document we created. So this is a little bit similar. If I will click developer here and I will click design mode, you will see that again, I have these things, but now right now it will be named Joel Olesen. So these are kind of where that gets complicated if you want to go in and replace stuff in already existing document you have. Because then you need to kind of create one for each document. But if you make sure that you have all of the data that you want to populate stored, for instance, in a SharePoint list, then we can really regenerate it by just going in and updating in the Power App or in the SharePoint list edit view, and then generate the document again. So that would be the proper approach. You can do it, but it's not advised to do so, to be honest. Awesome. So if anyone has more questions than this, or they feel I didn't reply good enough, feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn, connect with me on social media like Twitter, Instagram, or whatever, Facebook even. You will just find me by searching by my name. So I have a very unique name, so there's no one else named like me in the world, so that makes it super easy.
Actually, I felt it hard to pronounce at the start. But
yeah, it's really difficult. Thank you to my parents for that. But my name is Knut Relbe-Moe, so yeah.
Actually, we had more difficult names now. You might have seen the kid name of Elon Musk.
Yes, I was thinking at least I am lucky to not have that name of his child. So, but you know, in Norway you can also put whatever name you want on a baby, more or less. So it's really not that much things you can't name the baby. So, but I think I'm happy. It's just that not that easy to pronounce the K when you're speaking English because it's always silent, you know. So I always become the nut, you know, but that's okay. So yeah, so
what I was thinking at the start.
Yeah, but you did good, Adnan. So thank you so much for the support and the help and taking care of this session. It was a pleasure to be here with everyone. And yeah, look out on SlideShare or LinkedIn. I will post about the slides and the solution, and I have upload them to my GitHub. Besides this, wish everybody still a good day, good night, good morning, wherever you are. So here the workday is soon finished, so that's great. But yeah, wish everybody a good day.